Hey kids, let me tell you about the Crimean War. It's a pretty big deal, even though a lot of people haven't heard of it. So, the year is 1853. You got the Ottoman Empire just kinda hanging out along Turkey and the Middle East, right? And they kinda blow, like they're not doing too good for themselves right about now. So Russia, who's right to the north, they see this and they go, well hey, I might as well take advantage of this. So they demand that the Ottomans let them occupy areas around the Black Sea and the Holy Land. Russia says it's because they want to protect Eastern Orthodox Christian minorities in the area, but really it's just because they want land control. It's like when your dad puts your grandpa in the home. He says it's for its own good, but really he just wants the inheritance faster. But then France sees this and he's like, hold on a minute, cause he knows something fishy's going on here. Nobody cares that much about a couple of John Stamoses trapped in a sea of Mohammeds. But he plays along with the whole religious thing, right? So he goes, well hey, why are we focusing on the Eastern Orthodox minorities? What about the rights of the Catholic minorities? So verbally, it seems like he's just calling Russia out on religious grounds, but in the bigger picture, this is a challenge to their authority in general. So they have the two churches talk it out, and eventually they come to an agreement. Then Russia's like, alright, well my excuse backfired, so fuck it, might as well double down here. Hey, listen up, I want full protection of Orthodox Christians in the Empire, this time for real. I mean it, don't make me come down there, cause I totally will. The Ottomans basically just say frig off Rusky, so Russia starts preparing for war. The Ottomans are kinda spooked at first, but France is like, don't worry about it buddy, we'll help you out. Meanwhile the British, they're watching this all go down from afar, and they're like, wow Russia, not only are you a prick, but you're so much of a prick that you can't even come up with a better excuse the second time around. No, you know what, just for that, just because you have the diplomatic skill of a baboon, we're gonna help kick your ass. Even if it means we have to work together with France. That really says something about you Russia, doesn't it? By this time, the Ottomans are feeling a good bit better, so they declare war on Russia in October of 1853. So Russia and the Turks start fighting it out, right around modern-day Romania. And then France and the UK are like, oh yeah, I guess we should start sending troops over. But by the time they get to Eastern Europe, the Russians are already on their way out. All that's there is the Ottomans just standing there all sweaty like, wow, thanks for the help, dicks. France and Britain are like, yeah, our bad, we should really get it together here. Then they both look at a place called Sevastopol. And Sevastopol's a big deal. It's the main Russian port on the Black Sea. They've got a ton of troops there, and without it, they'd basically be boned. So France and Britain look back at the Ottomans like, alright man, we're gonna make up for the fact that we took so long to get here, and we're gonna go straight for the heart. So around September of 1854, they go to Sevastopol and they try to take it, but they end up in a stalemate with Russian forces for about a year. This is known as the Siege of Sevastopol. And this is where things really just start sucking for everybody involved. For the Allies it sucked because their supply lines had to travel such a huge distance. For Russia it sucked because their supply lines were blocked off by the Allies. So they don't have much by way of supplies, but at least they're healthy, right? Nope. Apparently, sitting around in dirty trenches and forts all day isn't too good for you, because there was just like a ton of disease just floating around this whole time. A lot of it was cholera, which was especially fun for the soldiers, because for those of you who don't know, cholera basically makes you have a horrible diarrhea death over the course of a day or two. So you're in the filthy trenches, and that's bad enough, but then everybody around you starts spraying their liquid pestilence all over the place. It got to the point where for every one person who died from combat, 6 people died of disease. If you guys know Florence Nightingale, she was a nurse for the Allies at the time, and she was actually inspired by the crap-catastrophe going on around her, which led her to revolutionizing hospital situations later on. Around October 1854, a month into the siege, was the Charge of the Light Brigade. You might have heard of it. Basically, the British just threw a bunch of guys on horses at the Russians, and they all died. Then some guy wrote a poem about it at the end. So anyway, back to the big picture. The soldiers barely have any food or water. They're dying disgusting poop deaths in holes in the ground, but at least it couldn't get any worse. But then winter came and, wouldn't you know it, it got even worse. Because now they're freezing to death too. And then winter ends and they're still fighting, but, not as cold. Also at one point, Greece just kinda shows up like, man, a lot of shit going down here. Might as well take advantage of this. Start, rescuing some Orthodox Christians of my own, quote unquote. But then both sides are like, shut up Greece, adults are talking, go make some baklava. And he's like, alright, fair enough. Anyway, though, back to Sevastopol. So spring turns to summer, they're still fighting, things still suck, and it keeps going until September of 1855. So finally, Russia's like, alright, well this really just blows chode, so I guess I'm gonna cut my losses here. Just take Sevastopol, the whole place is bombed to shit anyway, I'll tone down the Near East shenanigans, whatever you want. And the Allies respond, well Russia, you're still a dick, but we're gonna have to concur on your first point. There are copious amounts of chode being blown at the moment, so we're gonna accept your surrender. So they signed the Treaty of Paris on the 30th of March 1856. Yeah, apparently there's been a bunch of treaties of Paris over the years. Don't worry about it. So that's the Crimean War, kids. Hope you learned a thing or two. Till next time, I'm SamONella, and thank you for watching.